All right, hello once again. This is Jeff Scott of Rankin Technical College, welcoming you back to the Rankin Technical College Summer Academy for website design. So far, we've started to create a very simplistic website that right now doesn't look like much. So when we run it, there's our home page, there's our about page, and right now our contact page looks just like our home page. We're going to change that in this video. Okay, so like I said, not real much in it right now, but as we go on, we'll be adding to it. So let's go. We've got our index page and our about page, and they're pretty much done. So we're going to open up here our contact page. First thing we want to do is we want to change that to contact. Now when I save this and we go back and run this, what I want you to realize is now contact, about, well, I guess that's still goofed up, and that says home. So those two are both wrong. So our index page should say home, and our about page should say about. And again, that's because I ended up copying some stuff to the wrong pages. So let's check this out again. So our contact page says contact, our about page says about, and our index page, which is our home page, says home. And they're now all correct. All right, but we haven't done anything to this contact page. So we're going to change this around quite a bit. First thing we want to do is we don't want this to say we still want the my first site. In fact, did I leave that in here too? Yep, got that. All right. But I want to come down here, and instead of welcome, I want this to say contact. All right. I don't want this image, so I can get rid of that. And I don't want any of the paragraphs. Right now, there's not too much in here. In fact, if I run this page, that's all that's there. Okay? Notice still works. Home, about, contact. All right, so it's time to go in there and actually write the contact form. Most of us, if you've been on the internet and have done any kind of work, if you've signed up for something or whatever, you probably have filled out a form at some time or other in your life, or maybe your parents have. So when you create a form, the form goes within what are called form tags. All right, and also typically when you've got a form, you put in there an action, and I'm going to tell it to go nowhere, and that's what that means. And you put in there what's called a method. Okay? Do we have to worry about this? Well, right now, I'm sitting here, and if I'm going to go and submit this form, it's going to come from my browser. All right? When I click a submit button, which we'll put in there in just a minute, this tells it where to go. And typically where it's going to go is out to a server someplace so that it can handle it. So for instance, if I'm out on Amazon and I'm going to put a book into my shopping cart and I go to buy the book and I click, I fill in the information and I click the purchase button, all that information has got to be transferred from my computer to Amazon's computer so that I can get that. And it does it using either a get or what's called a post. The difference between those, and really I probably should have made this a post to be honest with you, is when you are actually submitting information, you typically use a post. When you're grabbing information, you use a get. And if that confuses you, think about it this way. As you walked into class today, let's pretend for just a minute that I stopped each one of you and asked you your name. So I asked the first young lady her name, and she says, Mary. So I said, what is your name? She says, Mary. Okay? That would be what is referred to as a get, because I'm getting or accessing information from her. Okay, if I tell her, well, Mary, from now on you're known as Rankin Student 01, that's who you are. That's a post, because now I'm setting something. So that's what we're going to be doing right here. So we're going to be creating our contact form. And we're going to create it a little bit at a time just so you can see what's happening in here. So I'm going to put in label for equal. And we're going to put in here first name. And then we're going to put in what's called a text field. Again, I'm putting this on multiple lines just so that you can see everything. All right, so what did I do there? It's easier to show you, so let's run it. So I've just added that. First name and the actual first name. Okay? Now, as we add stuff to this, it's going to look pretty ugly, just so you're aware of that from the get-go. It's going to look pretty ugly. First thing I want to do here is I want to put a blank line, and that's what this BR tag stands for. It's for break. Now, this is the label that we saw right there that said first name. Labels are within label tags, and we're saying that label is for this field that's called first name. And the reason that that's kind of important is notice what happens if I click on the label. Takes my mouse and puts it inside of the field. That's what that for equals did for us. Doesn't sound like much. It's what's called a text field, so we can put text in it. This is its name, and this is its ID. And you notice that the name and the ID are the same. The name, this is what's going to be used by that server, so when we click a submit button and send it someplace, this is what we're going to use if we want to literally work with that field in what's called JavaScript code. If that confuses you, don't let it. We're not going to really do much with that anyway. So, first name field. Well, if we got a first name, why don't we put in a last name? And you're going to notice when we do that, it's not perfectly, whoop, because I goofed up something. Oh, I didn't copy my label. So that will say last name. And now if we look at it, doesn't look too bad. Looks like I should have another blank space in there so I can just manually put one in if I want to. So I can put another BR tag in here. There's other ways that we can do it also, and you'll see that in just a minute. But now, notice, now I got a little bit of room between them. Okay? That's actually too much room, so I'm going to get rid of one of those BR tags and just put in one. So, I've got first name and last name. Well, let's put in 3 more of these. So right now, they all look the same. So there's first name, there's last name. Let's change this to address. This will become city. And this one will be state. And while we're doing all that, let's put in 2 more of these. Okay? Why? Well, we'll have one in here for the zip code. We'll just call it zip. And this next one will be for email. Now we've made a lot of changes, so it's time to take another look at this. Doesn't look very nice right now, but we'll clean it up in just a couple minutes. So we've got a first name, a last name, an address, a city, a state, a zip code, and an email address. Well, we want 2 more things in here, and then we're done. Okay? The next thing we want is going to be similar to this, but it's not going to be it's not going to be an input field. It's going to be what's called a text area. So this is going to say comments. And literally, instead of input, we're going to type in here text area. And when we do a text area, we have to let it know how many rows we want to put in. And if you don't know what that is, I'll show it to you in just a minute. And how many columns we want to put in here. So we're going to, these are just arbitrary values that I came up with. So this one, the name is going to be comments. And the ID is also going to be comments. Now you'll notice with the input had what's called self-closing tags. That's the closing tag. You don't have a self-closing tag with the text area. You have to physically close it. All right. So what did that put in here? Well, now we've got this box that says comments. All right. One more thing we want to add, and that's a button at the bottom. It's going to be called what's referred to as a submit button. And we'll call it what it is. We'll call it submit. And we'll give it a value. So this is the text that exists on the button, and we'll just call that, whoops, I don't know what I did there. We're going to just call that send. Let's put a couple of those BR tags in there, and let's take a look at what we have here. All right. So we've got our home page, our about page, and our contact page. Right now, it doesn't look very nice, doesn't look like much, to be honest with you. And this didn't take, so I'm going to grab these 2 BR tags. And I'm going to put them, let's try to put them right here. I want that button to be moved down a little bit, not that text. Not sure why it's not picking that up, but it's okay. All right. Okay. In the next video, this has been short, it's only 14 minutes, but in the next video, I'm going to, right now, if I run this, and let me run it, there's the newest iteration of it. So I could put in anything I want to put in. And you'll notice it doesn't do anything with it. So we're going to fix that in the next video.